So, first of all, how do you enjoy being Mr. Southern?
Honestly, I kind of like it. It's a little different because they haven't really started me off with anything just yet. I don't really have a budget, I don't have an advisor, but at the same time, Mr. Southern University hasn't really existed for the last 5 years or so. So I'm kind of just finding my way, kind of grooving my own niche to, make Mr. Southern's name more popular than it, like it was back in the time that it used to be here.
Cool. What about you personally being a Sigma? How do you feel as an organization, as a group of people, how y'all have affected the African American community?
Sigmas as a whole, over time we've done a great deal. Huey P. Newton was a Sigma. He was one of the biggest advocates in the Black Panther. He was one of the biggest people in the Black Panther Party. One of their actual founders, and they did a great deal for the Black community. A lot of the guys on the front line of the Civil Rights Movement that were in the midst of the fire hoses and the dogs and the police and everything else that went on were Sigmas. A lot of the guys that went into a lot of the hellfire during the Civil Rights Movement, protecting Dr. King, were Sigmas. So we had a great deal in the Civil Rights Movement, even up until today. A lot of the things that we do are things that a lot of other fraternities necessarily don't, because our motto is culture for service and service for humanity. And so we always culture ourselves to know what we're dealing with and whom it is that we are dealing with at the time so that we can help serve more people.
Very interesting. So I'm wondering, do you feel that Sigmas have been more, prevalent in African American culture, African American communities, more so in its earlier history or in the present today?
I'd say in the earlier history. I feel like specifically in the African American community, a lot of us as a whole, we don't necessarily appreciate what people do for us. It's what people can do for us and the things that people can get us that a lot of people appreciate nowadays. Back at the time when we had to fight for our own equality, fight for justice, we had to fight to be able to read and write, things like that. People like Sigmas, even before Sigma was founded, people like Sigmas were the people that you would run to for guidance, for assistance. But now it's gotten to the point where we're so materialistic and we want things more so than ideologies, more so than concepts, more so than things that we didn't get in the first place. If you can get me a great party, a good time, a couple of girls to look at, some alcohol, then I like you more so. But it doesn't necessarily matter that you can be the people that can get my son a book and my daughter a scholarship to college. So I feel like we're underappreciated by the masses. But in almost every case, the masses don't necessarily matter. It's those that influence the masses that actually matter. And as long as people appreciate who Sigmas are, that can have something to say and have a good say-so and want to speak out for the people, I think we're doing our job.
All right, then. So, Sigma, the summation of all parts.
Right.
Do you feel that as a whole, considering your undergraduate and your graduate, that you all act in unison and can accomplish most of the goals that you set in place for the year?
Sigma as an organization, we honestly, if anybody understands physics, they understand entropy, they understand chaos, but ordered chaos. We're the summation of all, most definitely. We all have different aspects to bring to the table. There are singers, actors, writers, and even, Bill Clinton is an honorary Sigma. There are a lot of people that contribute things in the organization, and we don't necessarily mix minds all the time, which is exactly what you shouldn't do. Leaders are never supposed to have the same mindset immediately. Somebody should have an opposition to the idea, and if the idea is still strong and it still stands, then you're going to be able to, put it through the way that it should be. But we operate pretty much on the basis that everyone has something else to bring to the table. And as long as those things can coexist without there being a massive explosion, all the different chaotic elements can come together and we can make something happen. So that's pretty much what we always do.
So that's interesting. Do you feel that as Mr. Southern and a Sigma that you'll be able to influence the university as not only in your position, but also in terms of your fraternity to help students get more scholarships or set up tutoring, things, and of course parties, recreational events, but also things to help students scholastically?
Right. That's a really good question. I'll say yes, because as Mr. Southern, I represent Southern University. As a student of Southern, I have to be known and seen by Southern University as a whole, and me being a member of this, specifically this chapter of Phi Beta Sigma. The fraternity is already phenomenal, but Rho chapter is the mother pearl chapter of our fraternity, and pretty much everything that we do is seen, loved, and appreciated by our campus. Nobody, quote unquote, runs Southern University, but as a whole, I think that Sigmas are much more loved and appreciated. So as Mr. Southern and a Sigma, that helps out a whole lot. And Sigmas already do a drastically large amount of community service. My position as Mr. Southern can assist the Sigmas with wanting to help Southern University as a whole, and helps Mr. Southern University by partnering with Sigmas. So we kind of collaborate, and we do more things for students. And scholastically, we actually do have a few scholarships in mind that we're working towards. And in terms of parties, those parties are going to go towards raising money for those scholarships, developing people scholastically and academically so that they can leave Southern. And even if they're not going to be gone from Southern anytime soon, hopefully make them to where they actually are going to want to join Phi Beta Sigma or some other Greek letter organization, or go out to become Mr. Southern in the future.
Oh, wow. So would you say, in terms of community service, and in terms of recreational events, what's the percentage? Is it more top-heavy community service, more top-heavy parties, or it can't really put a number on it?
We can't necessarily put a number on it as of right now, because we have plans to equalize it. Right now, we're completely in the community service business because we haven't had the capacity, the ability, the time, the publicity to throw a party that we know is going to, draw a lot of people and give a lot of people a great time. So we've been doing a lot of community service lately, but we do want to get more into the party scene, because unlike a lot of other people, parties are not just for the sake of being the quote-unquote party fraternity. One thing that systematically we feel parties bring us is that a great party is going to bring women. Southern University has some of the most beautiful women in the country, probably the world. I'm not sure, I haven't been around the world yet, but Southern has gorgeous women. With gorgeous women at your party, and knowing gorgeous women at your party brings young men. Young men that enjoy themselves at a party with gorgeous young women bring them to your organization. And as an organization, if we can get young women to come to a great party to bring young men to find the young women, then they're going to find us, and we're going to find new members and new brothers and more money to do more community service. So it's a system that we have going on, kind of, sort of, with parties. And next semester, spring 2011, is definitely a time that our party scene is going to get kicked up a million notches.
So that's interesting, seeing, well, this may be personally from my upbringing. However, when my brother was going through college and everything, he told me that Sigmas and Iotas are, they're the study people, they're the studious people, they're the work people. Right. And that Alphas and Omegas, not trying to bash them or anything, are more so party animals.
It's a Kappa party. Oh, I'm in there. Everybody else is known for their parties because, and when it comes down to it, actually, if you look at the history behind them, Alpha, Kappa, and Omega were all founded before us, before the Sigmas and the Iotas were. So when it comes down to fraternities, they have a hierarchy. Even if it was within a few years, they still had a hierarchy of that amount of time to establish chapters, to establish a ground in a certain area. And maybe they have the same perception of party life that we do, I'm not sure. But I know that whatever Sigmas do, if it's a party, if it's raising money, whatever we do, it's going to, in the end, go toward our community service efforts. So their name as the quote-unquote party guys, that's fantastic, but there are a multitude of us, especially in Rho Chapter, that are party people ourselves. We know how to promote parties, and we know how to be faces for our organization to where people are going to want to come and enjoy themselves. And our creativity level is through the roof, to where the themes of the parties we have coming for the spring are out of this world. It's not just, this is a great name for a party, come have a great time and dance and see people dressed up. There's a theme to it. There's something you have to wear. There's something that you're going to hear. There's something you're going to do while you're at the party. At our luau, it was a barbecue style luau, but just blue, since our colors are royal blue and pure white. The luau incorporated grass skirts for all the fraternity brothers, and there was a limbo contest under a bamboo stick. People had an absolutely phenomenal time. Hot dogs and hamburgers was all that was served, and our signature punch, blue juice. And, you know, it was a great time. People really enjoyed themselves.
Is there anything else you'd like to add as both the Sigma and Mr. Southern?
As a Sigma and Mr. Southern, I want to say to all the Sigmas past and present, definitely keep their heads up. So all the people that aren't Sigmas or that aren't Greek as a whole, please don't buy into the hype that a lot of Greeks have developed over time, that Greeks are an upper echelon of people. Their affiliation with their organization is great, but the fact that some of them, or a multitude of them, feel like they're greater than any other student on campus is preposterous. It kind of upsets me, but it's kind of how it's become. So if you become Greek, then never think that of yourself. You're just like any other student. You go to class, you get the same grades, you need tutoring, you had bad days, you get tired, you go to sleep, you eat, you have the same functions as any other student. To Mr. Southern University's past and present. Past, nice to not meet you. I wish I would have met you so I'll know what's going on. Future, I just hope that if you have aspirations to become Mr. Southern University, you have similar mindsets that I have. You have the same drive and the same eagerness to be able to make the university better. Because not saying that our administration doesn't care, but our administration isn't going to bring Southern University back to a level of prestige that it's supposed to be on. Even our SGA can't do it by themselves. Administration can't do it by themselves. It's the students. And as Mr. Southern University, I feel like I'm one of the students that needs to make a difference, that needs to be a voice and a face for the students to want to have the voice and the face to say something to make Southern back to where it was. So that's all that is.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Joshua DuBois.
Appreciate that.
That'll conclude our interview.